Of course, as an Indonesian, as a Muslim girl, people just saying, don't forget, get married before 30, have babies. Because I'm almost 30, I'm put in the bracket of expired women because all my friends from the junior high school, every single of them has been married and had kids. It's only me that's still here. Many people labeling me that I'm a haram girl. Haram, it's like the person that always doing all the bad things, not following what God's telling.
That was today's guest, Dina. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Nandita Bajaj, and I'm the host of Beyond Pronatalism, Finding Fulfillment with or Without Kids, an interview series in which, through intimate conversations with women and men from diverse backgrounds, I explore how they are courageously and creatively navigating pronatalism, the often unspoken pressures to have children, whether from family, friends, or the culture at large. In each episode, I dive into personal stories with people who are forging unconventional pathways to fulfillment, including redefining what family means to them, whether that means being child-free or childless, having biological kids, adopting or fostering children or animals, or creating close-knit communities of friends and loved ones. Hi, Dina. Welcome to Beyond Pronatalism.
Hi, Nandita. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
It's my absolute pleasure, Dina, to see you again. For the sake of our listeners, of course, you and I met in November in Bogota, Colombia, at the International Conference on Family Planning. You were doing a lot of live stage interviews there, and I had the pleasure of being interviewed by you, and you were such a great host. And I loved hearing about your story so much that I wanted to be able to turn the tables and let you share your story.
Thank you so much, Nandita. It was my first time actually learn about that work, pronatalism itself at the ICFP when I was meeting you, and then oh yes, definitely, I would love to interview you. As a background for the listeners, I was hosting 6 o'clock news. Literally, it's a live stage prime time that we talk about pleasure, sexuality, about sexual reproductive health and rights, but in the most youth-friendly way. So I really love that our path crossed.
I have loved meeting you. And for our listeners, can you give a brief introduction? Anything you want to say about yourself?
Of course. My name is Dina Chaerani. I was born in Indonesia. At the moment, I live in the Netherlands. I also create my own social media branding. It's called SRHR Barbie. So SRHR stands for Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights. And why I chose Barbie? Because I'm trying to destigmatize and then break the glass ceiling. When people think she cannot talk about something serious, it's only about beauty. It's not that. I can talk about politics. I can talk about budget, finance. I can talk about anything. And then I can make it fun as well. But also I've been focusing on these issues of sexual reproductive health and rights since I was 13 years old. I am now 29. So it has been 16 years and fighting for the issues around gender equality and then prevention of sexual violence against children and girls. And I'm also working in the NGO that also focusing on the meaningful and inclusive youth participation.
Wonderful. This is such an interesting background, especially about how early you got started in your advocacy at 13. Can you share some of what inspired you to get active in this kind of work at that young an age?
So I'm a sexual violence survivor. I experienced and witnessed directly the sexual violence against children, women and girls. And I experienced directly how hard it was to be believed by the system or even to get justice, because I reported to the teacher and then the teacher refused to believe that, because when he asked who did that, I said I didn't remember. And he said, oh, then you enjoyed the incident. Then I tried to report it to the police. However, in Indonesia, the system is super broken and then also corrupted, where if you are a victim, you have to report to 7 different institutions until you can bring that to the judicial process. And even for my case, after I did that, they decided that, oh, you didn't get raped. And beyond that, of course, as an Indonesian, as a Muslim girl, people just like saying, yeah, at the end of the day, women or girls, they're supposed to be staying at home. And I was quite active as well. And I witnessed every day where like the teachers sideline us. Like, yeah, you cannot be the leader. Let the men do that. And a lot of other opportunities that actually wasn't created for us or even designed together with us. That's the reason why I literally swore when I was 13. I said, like, I'm never going to stop working on this issue until there is no longer Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection in Indonesia. Because this is exactly the reason why they have that, because our women are not empowered, our children are not protected. So that's kind of the pathway up until now.
Yeah. Wow. And though the system clearly failed you and the teachers didn't hear you, what was the support system like from your own family?
Honestly, I wasn't really telling my parents when I experienced that. The reason why, it's because definitely they will also blame me because the victim blaming is happening. And then I was so afraid and terrified to actually talk about this to them because at the end, they will also ask the same questions. Did it happen? What kind of clothes did you wear? Something like that. And I sort of like try to navigate those things alone, literally alone, and then just using Google. I mean, back then when I was 13, I still need to go to the internet cafe, but trying to do that. And then until I actually graduate from junior high school, and then I went to senior high school, that was where the first time I met an NGO called Plan International Indonesia. They were my biggest support system and helping me in a long way. And they thought that, hey, that's actually child rights. I was like, what is child rights? And then like, there are 32 child rights. You didn't know that? And then that's why like, oh my God, that's like my rights as a child to be protected by the government, by the parents, by the teacher. But everybody failed me at this moment. And they helped me along the way to report to the 7 different institutions. So they were one of the biggest support system. And they shaped me and actually also giving me a lot of education and training, taking me to the international conference on child rights so that I can actually be empowered and I can also create ripple effect for the children or like young people. So it was like amazing. And I saw like, oh, this is exactly the meaning of opening up and empowering other people rather than only focusing on yourself.
That is such an inspiring story, Dina. I obviously didn't know any of the details. And the fact that you've been going strong for 16 years and counting, that is really wonderful. And along those lines, I wonder what kind of messages you were receiving growing up within your family and within the larger culture, especially around the ideas of children and marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in a quite conservative family. My mom was a Catholic and then she converted to be a Muslim. And then my father was also Muslim. But my father already passed away. But like when he was still here, he wasn't really like forcing me. It was more my mom until now even. Don't forget, get married before 30. Have babies. Because I'm almost 30. She keeps also asking like when am I going to get married, when I'm going to have baby, because I'm almost put in the bracket of like expired women. Because all my friends from the junior high school, every single of them has been married and had kids. It's only me that's still here. Since I was a kid, many people labeling me that I'm a haram girl. Like in Muslim, it's like a halal and haram. Haram, it's like the person that always doing all the bad things, not following what God's telling. I'm not obeying something because I'm really outspoken. I question a lot. I'm trying to challenge the narrative on Quran and Hadith, for example. I demand clarity, but for them, why you question this? It's supposed to be with your deeds and then it's supposed to be with your faith. Sometimes we cannot just explain everything. I said, no, it's wrong. Literally in Quran, it says that once you stop questioning something, that's the essential of being a human is gone. It stopped. So like you are no longer human if you stop questioning something. And I feel like why this is so different between the religious leaders in my community and the Quran itself. Yeah, so I have a really bad reputation. So I grew up. They called me like, oh, you're going to go to hell. Even now, I receive a lot of DM on Instagram, haram girl, you're going to burn in hell. And now, I'm like more looking at that, it's a joke. And then like when they said, you're going to go to hell. And I said, yeah, see you there. You know, I'm trying to make it into jokes so that make them really, really angry. And it has been there since when I was like 18, when I decided to work as an NGO worker. Because in Indonesia, if you are not a doctor, a lawyer, especially from my mom's tribe, they think that I have set myself to be a failure for the family.
Wow. So did the pressure stop? You said you're still getting them from your mom about marriage and children.
Never stops. I don't think it will ever stop until we actually fulfill the expectation of the society. But I think I am a bit lucky because I'm far away from her. I am in a very good relationship with my partner. It has been 4 years. And I don't really want to have kids because, oh my God, with all of things that happening in the world, the cruelty, and then how actually people treat the kids. And I still want to do so many other things. If my mom listened to this podcast, probably she will be like, you need to get like exorcism. Because like she thought that the demon is inside me. Every day, literally Nandita, like she will be like, oh my God, don't forget to pray. Because in Islam, we have to pray 5 times a day. She will be like, pray, because if you do not pray, literally your father is crying in the graveyard. You will send him to hell because all your bad deeds. So those things has been infiltrated to my mind. So sometimes even if I don't believe that, but since I was a kid, I grew up with those kind of beliefs and values from my own family. So when I really hit the lowest point of my life, I'll be like, oh yeah, am I really doing the good thing? You know, like second guessing. Sometimes, like, you know, especially you are far away during winter and then you are alone at home. Like, is my mom actually proud of me? Because, like, she never said, I love you. She never said that I'm proud of you. So for me, seeking validation from a mom is really also an issue. Complicated.
Definitely. When did you realize that you didn't want to have kids? Was it common in Indonesia for you to find people who didn't have kids?
Well, if you have a privilege to actually go to the university, there are so many woke people, so many activists as well. Or like if you are sort of like in the posh area, like South Jakarta, where there are a lot of expats, they're exposed, you know, to this kind of privilege to be like, you can choose whether you want to have kids or not. It's not because like you cannot. It's like whether you want to or not, and you are able or not to actually take care of your babies. But then like, for example, in the area like where my mom lives, like in East Jakarta, it's a bit closer to the suburbs. This is no brainer. You don't question this. Like that's like your pathway, especially if you're women. You're gonna get married, have babies, multiply. So I was like, that's insane. Because whenever I go back to Indonesia once a year, I always visit my mom and then like sometimes meeting my friends. When are you gonna get kids, Dina? I said, why? Because your partner is, we call it bule. Bule, it means foreigner for like white people. And my partner is Dutch. Those typical, you know, white, blue eyes. And like, who says that I want to get married, number one? Number two, who says that I'm going to have babies? They're like, no, you have to. Because if you have these babies, you can bring it to Indonesia and then ensure that your baby going to be a celebrity of Instagram. Celebgram. And then you can earn money from that. It's actually a trend, Nandita. Like, it's a trend. So many women literally just going to have sex with random bule or random foreigners so that they can get the sperm and then have a baby. Even if like the father is like running away back to their home country, they can use the baby becoming like the celebrity of Instagram or on TikTok where they can earn money, like getting endorsement.
Talk about violation of children's rights from before they were even born. The fact that you're bringing a child so that they can be a source of income through social media, that is a different level. I had not heard of that, Dina.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, mind blowing, totally. And so how about your partner? Is he also on the same wavelength about not wanting kids?
So, I mean, he's Dutch. He grew up in the Netherlands. It's easy, you know, to have a discussion like this. Even when they were kids, they already got their sex education. And he's the only kids in the family. And then whenever I have a discussion with him, I bring it like a joke, you know, in the beginning, like, I don't think I want to have babies. And then like, yeah, sure, babe. Like literally, that's your body. It's your choice. I don't have anything to say about that because like, if you don't want, who am I to judge or say? And I asked like, do you really want to have kids or not? At the moment, actually, no. Even if you said that you want, okay, we can discuss about it. And if you said you don't want, I am also pro on it. Because like, we can actually spend time together, traveling. That's what like he said, like, you know, there are too many kids that really abandon or like their rights are not fulfilled. Yeah, that's too much. And then it's just responsibility. You know, you cannot undo. Like there is no turning back after you have kids. Like starting from you get pregnant, changing of the body, the hormone. And then he said like, no, totally, if you don't want, I'm pro about it. And he's a feminist, so I really love it. Of course, I cannot say it directly to my mom at the moment. I have to still think the way to say it to her because it has to be in her own way as well, saying that. Luckily, I mean, like from the family of my partner, they are literally like, take your time, don't be in a rush, be happy. It's so different, the goals in life.
Yes. And tell me more about your work in advocacy. It's so related to the subject we're talking about today is empowering sexual and reproductive health and rights.
So I remember when I said that I got sexual violence when I was 13, and then I got a lot of empowerment from Plan International. So like in the past 4 years, I created the first gig. It's called Lapor Yuk. So Lapor Yuk is in Bahasa Indonesia. It means let's just report. So that's an online digital initiative for like sexual violence reporting mechanism. I create that with my team. You can download it on App Store and Google Play Store. Because the reason why there are so many victims do not want to show up like I did, it was because the judgment, the victim blaming, it's tiring and you have to repeat the story for 7 times over and over again. If you don't have money, you don't have lawyer where you can just like capture and report directly, take the geolocation. So after that, it will connect to 7 different institutions and then you can choose to which institution do you want to report this case. It was like a whole 3 years we created that until it is adopted by one of the regency in Indonesia. It's called Bogor Regency, and they use that tools and adopt it as a reporting mechanism. And every year, whenever we need to report to Indonesia and Indonesia need to report to United Nations about the case, it's always referred to that data.
That's amazing.
It has been downloaded more than 10,000 times. And then after that, I was thinking, we cannot just only rely on that, especially now with the growing of social media. So many young people in Indonesia do not get an adequate comprehensive sexuality education. And I was like, the data is there actually, like from UNESCO, from UNFPA, though it's in English. Everything is in English again. It's colonial. So we tried to decolonize that. I said like, okay, if not a lot of people are able to read or access that, might as well let me do it. So I read like the holy grail of the International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education, 195 pages. And I created an online social media initiative called Sexdugram. It's an abbreviation from Comprehensive Sexuality Education on Instagram. And we got the first grant from UNESCO. We were the winner of this prize for like comprehensive sexuality education online. So we translated into reels, into memes, into comics in Bahasa Indonesia using the most plain language as possible so that they can understand why young people need to understand sexuality education is not only about teaching you on how to have sex, because probably you already know. It's not only about penetration, it's literally about boundaries, about knowing your rights. Because what's really successful for the far right wing, it's because they use the easy language, I feel. That's why I'm trying so much in fighting so many religious people to have a discussion with me, because I feel like those are the untouchable community, the faith-based community, especially for SRHR. So I feel like let's go there, because if nobody's actually educate them or have a conversation with them, then it's nothing. We only target the same people again and again. And then like my full-time work is I'm working with the Youth Hub. It's a youth-focused global initiative on meaningful and inclusive youth participations. So for example, if you said that you really want to do meaningful youth participation, let's check, do you have youth advisory panel? Do you compensate youth work? Something like that, challenging the organizational change. So I'm working as a partnership and a community officer there. Also, in the meantime, I'm doing and running the social media for my own self, where I have the SRHR Barbie thing and creating some like social media skits sometimes to make it fun. That's what I'm doing most of the time.
Dina, you've been doing so many things. It's incredible. And it's amazing that you're taking all of this complex information, high-level information, and making it accessible to youth in a way that's helpful for them. And you're right, that's such a huge majority of people who are affiliated with some kind of religion. So it's a great strategy to go into that umbrella of work. Truly inspiring. I'm so glad that we met in Colombia. And I'm really grateful that you shared your story with all of us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nandita. It's my pleasure. And I hope people can also get something from this conversation.
They definitely will. That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Do you have your own story you'd like to share? Check out the show notes to see how you can get in touch with me. Whether you'd like to share feedback about the show or a particular episode, or whether you'd like to join me on the show to share your own story, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much again for joining me today as we collectively discover and celebrate the many different pathways to fulfillment beyond pronatalism. Beyond Pronatalism is brought to you by Population Balance, the only nonprofit organization advancing ecological and reproductive justice by confronting pronatalism. This podcast is produced and hosted by me, Nandita Bajaj, with the support of my production team, Josh Wild and Alan Ware.